All right, we're ready to begin.
Okay, it is 1 o'clock and I will call to order this meeting of the Capital Area Regional Public Facilities District. Board of Directors, welcome everyone. By way of roll call today, what I'd like to do is to just go around the table and have us all introduce ourselves and who we represent for the benefit of our new members and so we can meet our new members. I'll start with myself. I'm David Brine. I represent the city of Olympia on the board and I currently serve as president. And I've been on the board, I guess, about 10 years now or so. It seems like a long time. Chris?
And I'm Chris Light. I represent the county and I've been on the board for a long time. 10, 15, maybe 20 years out. Whenever it started.
David?
My name is Dave Nicandri. I'm the representative of the city of Tumwater. I've been on the board for 3 or 4 years, 5 at the most, I think, and I'm also a former member of the Tumwater City Council, as is Chris here.
I'm Ken Parsons, and I've been on this board since 2003, I think it was. And I've served as secretary treasurer since the beginning.
Jeff, welcome.
Good afternoon. So Jeff Lyon, I think compared to you folks, I think this is day 6 maybe on the board. So I'm certainly probably the baby compared to others. And I represent City of Lacey, but excited to join and looking forward to helping out and participating.
Great, welcome. We are having discussions about at our annual meeting, having a pre-session where we could have a little orientation for some of the new members to bring you more up to speed on who we are, what we do, and our history.
Wonderful. Nice to meet you all.
Hi, my name is Whitney Godby, and I've been a member for about a year representing the city of Lacey.
Thank you. Has Ann Campbell joined us? Okay, so our other new member is Ann Campbell, and maybe she'll join us sometime during the meeting here. With that, we have almost all the members present and we have a quorum. Our next item of business is approval of the agenda, and I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as it's published.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Chris and seconded by Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Hi.
Opposed? None. Motion's approved. Next on our agenda is public comment, and from what I understand, we have no public comment. We have no one signed up. Anyone in the room here to make public comment? Okay. Great. We will move on to agenda item number 5, which is the board's consideration of resolution 25-01. Deanna, would this be a good opportunity for you to kind of give us an overview or a briefing on what is before us today?
I'd be happy to. Good afternoon. I'm Deanna Gregory. I'm a partner of Pacifica Law Group. We serve as bond counsel to the city of Olympia in connection with the city's financing of the expansion to the Hands-On Children's Museum. And what you have before you today is consideration of a resolution that would, if it's approved, will pledge the portion of the PFD sales tax revenues that under various agreements between the parties are collected by the PFD and remitted to the city of Olympia for use to help repay the city's bonds to finance the expansion. And so the resolution itself makes that pledge and kind of connects those dots from a continuation of the sales tax revenues under state law, and also authorizes a whole host of just a general authorization for signing documents that we may need in connection with the closing of the city's bonds. Attached to the agreement is a form of interlocal or in a form of financing agreement. I believe we're calling it a financing agreement. And it is modeled after the financing agreement that was used in connection with the original construction of the Children's Museum. As bond lawyers, we don't get too creative, so we use the tried and true model for an agreement between Olympia and the PFD, again, just to memorialize the pledge of the sales tax revenues, the obligation of the PFD to continue to collect those revenues and to remit those revenues to the city for the to pay debt service on those bonds. As you all know, the PFD statute has been amended to allow the sales tax credit to continue on for not to exceed 55 years. And this various documents are intended to capture that extension as well, to the extent that it's necessary to help repay these bonds. So there's no expiration date that would have truncated it before the 55 years in these documents. I'm happy to answer any questions in terms of the construction of the facility. That is not addressed in these documents. That, of course, is being handled separately. These documents are really designed to really focus on that pledge of the sales taxes for the benefit of the city as well as for bondholders.
Questions or comments for Deanna? Mr. McAndrew?
I have 4.
Okay.
Starting with the issue you just raised there in your introduction, the 55 years, that's inclusive of the time that has already expired to present time.
Correct. That is, it is 55 years total from when the tax was first collected.
Thank you. Is the 0.033% set aside or rebate, is that the full capacity allowed by statute?
Without other action of the PFD, which may include a vote, yes, that is the full amount of the tax of the credit that is allowed to the PFD.
So any future PFDs would have to be authorized by an expansion of the underlying tax rate or base.
The sales tax credit is not available right now to new PFDs that are created. The new PFD would be limited to only the options that are available right now, which would believe only, I don't have the statute in front of me, but I believe it's only a voted sales tax from a sales tax perspective. The window for imposing a sales tax that serves as a credit against the state sales tax, so customers or patrons at the cash register don't see an increase, that window has closed.
I hate to belabor this, but in the absence of the orientation session that's forthcoming, so I understand there's been a legislative authorization of future PFDs, but there's no expansion of revenue to pay for those? Am I drawing the correct conclusion?
There is an expansion of overlapping PFDs. The legislature allowed for certain jurisdictions to have overlapping PFDs. And there are revenue tools that are available. It's just that the sales tax credit is that window to impose a new sales tax credit has closed. So again, it's another reason why we want to continue the sales tax credit that this PFD has already started to impose and to continue to impose, because there's no way to restart it, if that makes sense. There are other revenue options that are available. It's just that this tool that you all have been able to take advantage of vis-a-vis the sales tax credit is no longer available to newly formed PFDs.
Okay, so it does take all the capacity of the existing authorization, and it's limited to the 2 projects funded to this point in time.
For your PFD, correct. It is your sales tax revenues are allocated to the 2 projects that have been that the funds have been allocated to over time.
Okay, so moving to Exhibit A, the 1/3 local match, is the 1/3 ratio, is that a mandatory statutory provision?
That is a mandatory statutory provision that needs to be met. And our understanding is that based on all of the between from an operational standpoint, from a capital standpoint, since the museum, at least in the museum's context, has been put into place, that match has been met from local funds and for above and beyond what it needed to be met. So we should be in good shape going forward.
So that's been provided by the city of Olympia directly out of its own municipal resources.
Correct, and other sources, I believe, but I would have to go back and double check that.
Including perhaps the museum too?
It's a local match, and so there a variety of local resources can fall into that category.
Who's responsible for computing the meeting of the match?
I would have to look and see who did the math originally. I know Lacey, between Lacey and Olympia, have been keeping an eye on their respective projects. So I could defer back to Olympia and find out who within the city is keeping an eye on that.
Anyone from the city want to respond to that?
Yeah, I can. Jay Burney, City of Olympia City Manager. So we have our finance team tracks this project, both tracks PFD revenues in and then total project costs and making sure that our match requirements are met. A lot of the match requirements on come from private fundraising from the Hands On Children's Museum. They are funding a large portion of this project as they did the prior project.
Okay. Thank you. Lastly, regarding section 16 indemnification and hold harmless, which of the terms in line 2 of paragraph A refers to the members of this board?
Let's see.
Could you mention which section you're referring to again? David?
Section 16, paragraph A. There's 2 paragraphs, A and B. And I just wanted clarification of which of the terms in line 2 refer to the members of this board.
Right, the respective elective officials, officers, employees, and agents.
We therefore, well, we're not elected officials. Some of us are officers. None of us are employees. Are we therefore agents?
I would consider you all officers. We can certainly change this. It's just a form that's being approved. There are, if you notice, some blanks that will need to be filled in once the bonds are sold. And so we anticipate that this document will be finalized after bonds are sold and we're are ready to close the bond issue. And so we can certainly add in specifically board members.
I think that would be advised.
Okay.
Technically, we're not elected officials, we're appointed officials.
Right. So we're not, yeah, so we're not elected officials. You and Dave are officers. None of us are employees. We're not really agents. So I think there's a gap in there in terms of indemnification coverage that I think ought to be closed by specifically listing the governing board of the PFD as being parties covered by the indemnification.
Happy to make that. I will make that change right now.
Thank you.
If I'm right, Deanna, in the first document, section 2B specifies that the president of the PFD has the ability to approve modifications.
Correct.
And so there's some room.
Yes, for sure.
Do what David just suggested if we want to. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Like I said, it's just approved as to form. And we do anticipate there will be some edits to it as we finalize the terms of the bonds and get everything all squared away. This will be signed as a closing document in connection with the closing of the bonds.
Okay.
There's no need for it until the bonds are issued.
So I'm confused now. So if you make changes to what we're looking at, how will we be informed?
The president will approve any edits to the form that is approved by this board. And you will get a final copy of the final agreement.
Okay.
There won't be significant changes to it. It will be cleanup items, like for example, the edit that was just made. And then filling in some of the blanks. So for instance, there's a blank for reference to the dollar amount of the bonds that are issued for this expansion project
Right.
on page 2. They won't be substantive changes. They will be either administrative, clerical, cleanup, items like that.
I'm just trying to understand how we approve this. If we approve it and it gets changed, we're not really approving it.
You're approving it as to form in substantially final form, which is a common thing for legislative authorities to do. And then you're delegating to the president the ability to approve any other final changes. But the meat of the agreement, which is the pledge to, and the covenant to collect the sales taxes and remit the portion of the sales taxes to the city of Olympia to pay debt service on the bonds, that won't change. And that is the core of this document.
Well, to me, the core of the document is protecting the district and protecting the officers and board members. So that's the core to me.
I'm happy to make a motion to amend to include language listing the members of the governing board of the district as a covered item in the second line of paragraph A. I'll make that as a motion to amend the agreement.
Well, but there might be other minor changes too. So,
Yeah,
we don't know what the words would be. We don't know what what fits. And so
true.
personally, I'm okay approving this in form, general form, but I'm not comfortable with other changes that we don't see because I worry about the protection of the district. And while I'm talking, I'll just finish my other discussion. I was worried about a couple of sections of the agreement. And we're the only party to these that have not hired an attorney. And we probably should have, but we didn't. But I have had discussion with legal folks to go through my concerns and how did it look to them. They've made me comfortable that this is okay the way it is, generally with some minor tweaking. And my two areas of concern were resolved with discussions with those groups. So I'm happy in general with both the motion, the resolution and the agreement. But I just want to say we are the only party that did not have an attorney review this and probably should have, but we'll think about that next time. But I did go through it carefully twice. I did talk to two legal people and they, although I didn't ask for a written opinion because I didn't want to come back and ask for funding for that, I did get comfortable that the district is protected. So that's just my feedback to this whole thing. But if there are any changes, I do want to see those. And so I think the whole board ought to see those because a word could change the impact of the protection of officials. And so I just think it ought to be,
We can,
I'm okay reviewing it subject to the final review, but that's my opinion.
we can certainly go a couple of routes here. I do think it is important for the PFD to have council review this, so I'm glad that you did. And I also think that just like we are going to be giving an enforceability opinion for the city and the enforceability of this agreement with respect to the city, that it's very common to get an enforceability opinion regarding a document like this for the PFD as well in a bond financing. And so, and that will be paid as a, presumably as a cost of issuance of the bond financing. That's when it's delivered. It's not delivered before then, at least for bond purposes. It's only delivered at the time of closing. And so if there is someone that we can send this agreement to, I'd be more than happy to send it to them and have them review it. We can certainly also wait on having this. We can approve this agreement as to form. We can approve the resolution subject to bringing it back with any changes. The trick is going to be calling a meeting. If we want the full board to come together to approve any changes, then that will need to be done between pricing and closing of the bond issue, because again, of that dollar amount that will need to be plugged in. Otherwise, we can change the language to omit that dollar amount. But if we want to keep that dollar amount in the document, then it is will be a tight, basically a 2-week window that we won't be able to budge once the bonds are priced and we're ready to close.
I'm not worried about adding the bond figure.
Okay,
I don't know how the others are, but I would be okay approving it, letting the president approve that
okay,
after that's final done. I'm worried about any other verbiage changes that might affect a section that has to do with protection. And so that's what I'm worried about. I just want to be sure that I know what that is.
I think Jay Bernie, did you have a comment? I see your hand.
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple. Ken, one is, we'll make the change as you vote it as amended, right, around the protection and those types of things. And Deanna's not going to change that further. Our job is to make sure we're also looking out for you, right? That's part of my job too, is working with Deanna's team, is to make sure the PFD board is protected. So we'll make that verbiage change, but I don't see Deanna and her team making other verbiage change around the protection and kind of the indemnification outside of what you prescribe here today. I think what she's getting at is there's some boxes that aren't filled in because we don't have some information yet. And those are the kind of things that will have to get filled in later. But things around indemnification, we're going to make those changes today based on your feedback. So I just want to make sure you knew that. And then number two is, and it's a question maybe for Troy, and to Ken's question about legal review is, I know Lacey serves as the fiscal agent for all of us through PFD. And I'm not sure in the past when we've had to bring in a legal review for the board, is that Lacey's city attorneys or how have we done that in the past? Because I don't even remember, because the last time we did one of these agreements was a long time ago. So I don't know if Troy has any input to that.
Yeah, thanks, Jay, for putting me on the spot. I don't remember, and I wasn't here at that time, but yeah, we could certainly have a discussion with the board. We have our own bond counsel under retainer as well, so that could be an avenue for the board. This is fairly specialized legal counsel. I don't want to speak for our city attorney, but I'm going to guess that he would defer to, true bond counsel in terms of giving an opinion on the enforceability.
Well, I have some input on that since I was here back then. We can't rely on any of the entities, City of Olympia, City of Lacey, City of Tumwater, or Thurston County for legal verification because they're a party to this, not district. And so we have to hire our own legal if we feel we need that legal advice. But we also know that the district be with the interlocal agreement that the City of Lacey and the City of Olympia and the City of Tumwater County care about protecting each of the entities. So we know that you're looking at it for protecting each of your entities. So that has given us comfort over the years that we don't need to hire an attorney. We almost did one time for one issue, but I think we got by that because we don't want to spend the money. I mean, that's the issue. If we don't need to, we don't want to. But if it comes down to a new contract that you're a party of, then we may have to. But I got comfortable, and I hope the City of Lacey's attorney is looking at these agreements for the City of Lacey. And I got comfortable in my discussions that we are protected. I was particularly interested in section 14 and 16. But the entire agreement, I think from my standpoint, I'm okay.
Thank you. And one more comment I'll make is there's a reason we hired Pacifica and Deanna. They're the best, excuse me, best in the business. So really happy with their work here. And I can just assure you they've done amazing work to get us to this point and looking out for all of us.
So Ken, sorry, Troy, go ahead. Oh, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. Maybe I have a suggestion in terms of making the board a little more comfortable on the agreement. What the city of Lacey does, and certainly I defer to Deanna for kind of further comments, but what Lacey does with their bond ordinances is they delegate authority to the city manager and finance director to take whatever actions necessary to issue debt, but it sets parameters such as a certain date period and a certain dollar amount. Anything outside of that, whoever has delegated that authority doesn't have that authority. So you could, as a suggestion in your motion, set those parameters in terms of a time frame in which the debt will be issued, as well as a dollar amount. And then beyond that, in this case, the president wouldn't have the authority to make those changes.
Thanks, Troy. And the Olympia's bond ordinance contain those exact same delegation parameters that I know you're speaking of. And I'm happy to add whatever parameters would be helpful for the board to get comfortable with the documents today. I think that the delegation as of right now to the president, like I said, is really for cleanup errors. It's not for substantive changes. It's really just in the event that there are, like I said, if there's the typo that no one has noticed yet, or adding in, for example, the dollar amount. Like I said, I don't expect any substantive changes that would fall outside of the approval that the board is being asked to give today. They're really just a delegation to finalize the document and sign it. But if there's a outside window of a date or a requirement that any changes are brought back to at least inform the board, however, whatever process you would like to build in, we're more than happy to do it.
From my standpoint, I would want the board to see the final, even minor edits. I'd want to circulate it to the board in some way before I signed it.
Well, I have comfort personally to approve this as is, subject to the protection that David brought up and the minor things that you just report back to us. But I don't want to, I don't think it's enough I don't think there are issues enough to warrant another meeting to approve. So I would be comfortable just having you review those as suggested. And
if I may jump in here, I would agree with that. I'd be comfortable approving as is with the adding in, what was it, section 16, the indemnification of this board, and then really the president, and say, okay, the president's going to do the final review. I think that protects us from those. There's going to be changes. I think we need to understand there's going to be minute changes through this. And I think that's why it would go back to the board president instead of the whole board getting together. I'm comfortable along with you, and I'm sorry, I don't recall your name, but Ken, I agree. So I'm fine with that as well. So if that helps us make a decision or move forward, I'm good with that.
we rely on the president. If he finds something significant, I think he'd come back and stop it.
If we find something significant, we will bring it back. If there's something that goes haywire that or something that we're not anticipating with the plan right now that could impact something of the PFD, we would bring it back.
David, did you have a comment?
I have a couple, one quite prescriptive, the other is a little bit more general comment. And I appreciate, Ken, you raising a particular issue about everyone's having legal counsel look at the documents except the district itself. So I had to do the math because it's been so long. It's been 38 years since I was in local government. But there used to be something called the Municipal Research Service Council or something like that, where you could get legal advice without having to go on the market or on the street to secure it. That might still be, that might be an option going forward. Secondly, I think this just speaks to, and this will come across maybe more severely than I intended. I think since someone made the point, the fiscal agent is the city of Lacey. I had always presumed that as a term of art, that meant every aspect of administrative support. And so it was a bit of a surprising revelation to hear, or at least have it offered as an interpretation, that the city of Lacey's role relative to this board, there's an inside the circle and an outside the circle. And that concerns me greatly because we have no other staff. So if the city of Lacey doesn't accommodate everything we need operationally, then that's a problem, because it should. Either that or we need our own staff, including legal counsel. So I've been on this board for 3 or 4 years. I've been pressing for work sessions. It's always been pushed off. My concern level's only gone up today rather than gone down because of this circle around what the city of Lacey is responsible for. So I intend to go back to my Tumwater City Council because I think there are a lot of aspects of this that need to be tightened up, and I think to a considerable degree. Just saying. Anyone from the city of Lacey like to respond, or the city of Olympia? That would be welcome, but I think we're flying by the seat of our pants to an uncomfortable degree here.
Have you had an opportunity to go through the interlocal agreements, the original ones?
If I have, it's been a long time, and I never did have an.
Yeah, that's back to the
orientation.
orientation.
I never had an orientation.
Well, I'm personally very comfortable with what the city does for us. I mean, basically, this is a unique situation we've never had before. But what happens is the flow of funds come in, we make sure they get distributed, we review it on an annual basis. We can do it more often. And that's really all, that's our entire effort, is collect the money and give this percentage to hands-on and this percentage to Lacey's project. This has been different. And because Lacey could be in the box of doing a bond issue, then they would be a party to this agreement. They couldn't also be the one who is given us legal advice on these documents. I understand that part. And that came up before years ago. That's why we almost ordered our own legal. But I just think if with our own staffing, it's just money that, we would spend. And of course, just to collect the money and distribute it out just is not I don't want to demean all the effort that Lacey does, because they do a lot of that effort for us, but it's not a huge undertaking. And I'm sorry that we haven't done a better job of getting this board together, orient new members to the whole history of, and the agreements we have in place with all the cities and with Lacey. And so, anyway, that's kind of where I am.
And I think the dilemma, David, is we meet every once a year to do one thing. And this is the year that, bless them, the Children's Museum and the city decided to expand, and we've already encountered several things that we haven't encountered before, including new processes. So some of this is, we're kind of learning as we go, which is a challenge, so.
Well, as a citizen board, you would normally have staff expertise to guide you through the process. My kind of late arriving revelation is that some aspects of this arrangement were on our own. And I find it very uncomfortable to be on a public board in those circumstances. I see Mr. Bernie has his hand up. Perhaps he can put our minds at ease.
I'll try, and I'm sure Troy can as well. And I think it's right. I mean, what I heard is most of the time the board meets, it's really just to once a year look at the financials, hear from the projects, and ensure the money's being spent in the manner in which it's supposed to be. And we've had a clean financial audits all the way through from day one. And the board has done a very good job of working with Lacey staff, who are your fiscal agents, to make sure that all happens. And this is just something that's a little bit different because now we're in front of you with an expansion, and Lacey may, with the RAC, may be in front of you at some point in time. I don't know, with their own expansion plans, with the extension of the PFD funds. So it's that extension which allows us to be here to do an expansion of the museum. And so that we're not, I appreciate the term flying by the seat of our pants, is why we brought Pacifica into the mix, to make sure that from the city's perspective, that what we're bringing you, the PFD board, is within the realms of the law that enable PFDs. And so versus me being there in front of you proposing this, I'm here with Deanna because she's the expert. And my hope is that you, the board, will see Pacifica and Deanna as that expert. And as Troy mentioned, and if there's ever a need for you to feel that you need some other outside counsel, we can accommodate that. We'll figure out how to make that happen. Because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, as I want the board to feel comfortable with where you are in making the decisions that you need to make, because they're important, and they're important to you, and they're important to us. So I just want you to feel at ease at that. I'm sure Troy would say the same thing, that they've been providing admin support to the board. I think they've done a great job, but if there's something that you need, we can talk about that.
Well, can either you or Troy respond to my own self-professed seat of the pants idea of getting legal review through the Municipal Service Research Council?
I can speak to that a little bit. I'm familiar with the MRSC. I don't know, Troy, if you want to jump on that one first.
That would take a little bit of research on, Lacey personally has not used MRSC in terms of bond counsel.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I was going to say, is that MRSC has legal counsel on staff, and they answer questions from time to time, of course, as things come in. And I know we've represented them, we've worked with them at our firm here, so we're very familiar with MRSC, but they do not offer, at least to my knowledge, they do not offer opinions, and they also don't approve legal documents for basically approved as to form. They may look at something to see if it's consistent with what other jurisdictions are doing, but again, as many of you have said, this is a very unique situation. What I would offer up here is that I think there's a couple different routes that could be taken, and I think that either one would work depending on Lacey's city attorney's comfort level. Is that because this agreement is a party between the PFD and Olympia and not Lacey per se, and the PFD is a separate municipal corporation, then we could see if the city's department, city attorney's department, is willing to take a look at it and give us the comfort on the enforceability and see if there's any red flags from the PFD standpoint. Alternatively, as Troy's mentioned a couple times, Lacey works with excellent bond counsel that is not already representing a party on this transaction. And I would be happy to reach out to them and have them get involved on behalf of the PFD. They are outside counsel to the city, but again, because the city is not a direct participant in this document, I think that even if they think that there is a conflict, I do think that if the parties are comfortable with it, then it could be waived. But then someone with bond expertise could take a look at this agreement and give you the comfort that you need.
I think that's strongly advised. The fact that one of our citizen members, an unusually able one, I must say, Mr. Parsons, found it incumbent upon himself to seek separate private counsel on an ad hoc basis should be of concern to every municipal party to this agreement. So I think since we can't ask the city of Olympia to provide counsel on both sides of the proposition for reasons that are as
Right.
readily conceived as expressed, then I think our only natural recourse is to ask the city of Lacey through their devices and means, directly through their city attorney or through separate bond counsel, to officially conduct the scrutiny that Mr. Parsons tried to arrange and did arrange on an ad hoc basis in furtherance of our the district's municipal interest. And I make that as a motion.
I think that is personally, that's an excellent idea. What we can do today is we can either approve the agreement subject to that review, or and approve the resolution, of course, with the agreement being attached, subject to the review, knowing that any changes will be brought back to this board per your earlier request. And then, or of course, given the importance of this, we could, I hate to do this, for your all schedules, but we could table the agreement itself, and bump it to another meeting day. It's entirely up to, of course, the pleasure of the board. I do appreciate that, the PFD financing, and the pledge of these revenues and the expansion of the museum is it's a much bigger, it's a much different statutory world than it was when the museum was first initially put into place. And so I think it would be whatever you all would like to do. I know we would support you.
Well, I've had conversation.
Excuse me, for just as a point of order, we have a motion on the floor.
Is there a second?
So we should have a second before we continue.
Is there a second to David's motion?
I'll second it for purposes of discussion.
So what is the?
Would you restate the motion, please, David?
To ask the city of Lacey to serve as, to procure the review of bond counsel and or a separate legal review of the document on behalf of the public facility district. It's the best I can come up with, sorry.
And would you envision, I'm trying to think of the sequencing and the points that Deanna just made about, do we defer action on the agreement today pending that review, or do we approve this agreement subject to or conditional on a review taking place?
That, what you just verbal contingent upon that review.
Okay.
So is the motion to ask the city of Lacey to do the review?
Yes, it is.
Okay, in discussion.
Discussion, please.
I had conversation with the city of Lacey's attorney. I don't want to put words in his mouth, so I'll be careful how I say this, but I think he thinks it's a conflict of interest because he has to look at it for Lacey. Lacey is a party to the district, not representing the district. And so I don't think he will or can do the review to give us an opinion. He can look at it for Lacey, but he can't.
If I may, I think we would need to secure outside counsel who is not directly involved, is not a direct party. I agree with approving pending review. I agree with that part of the motion. I would suggest that we explicitly state that it should be outside counsel, for all the reasons you just said. Again, 6 days in, so if I'm off base, by all means, say it. But I think it makes the most sense. May I ask, how long has this been on the table, or how long has this process been going on to get to this point? Just a year, roughly?
You're talking about the process to get us to today, working through the museum and the council, and
Yes.
almost 2 years.
Okay. So, and in theory, if we, let's say we don't approve as is pending review of outside counsel, what I'm hearing is it's either going to be a special session or it's going to wait even longer depending on the next regular session, which could delay this further, much further, potentially on top of the 2 years, which may not be the reason to act or not act. I just want to recognize that if it's been 2 years already and change, we could be looking at another 3, 6 longer if we don't at least approve pending review. My recommendation would be approve pending outside counsel review. I think that would be the quicker resolution to this, is my suggestion.
We're under a time constraint here.
Go ahead, Ken.
So my suggestion is a combination of this, which is the motions have the city of Lacey see if their attorney would give the review, and if not, let's do an outside counsel and do a review. Let's approve this subject to having that legal review. And we could keep moving forward and try to make that happen quickly.
And just for a point of clarification, would you start with or ask Troy to start with as fiscal agent to the PFD with the bond counsel that the city uses? Or would be interested in seeking other names? There's a handful of firms in the state who do this type of work, and we're familiar with all of them, and I'd be happy to give you names, as well as I know Troy would as well. He's familiar with a number of them too.
That should be the city of Lacey's call. I mean, it could be any of those, but it ought to go to the city attorney
I
first.
think we're saying we don't have a preference.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, well put, Ken.
Staff
great.
do what staff does.
It's better to get this all sorted now before we have to go through all the same thing with the City of Lacey project. In which
Yeah.
case, we'd be asking the City of Olympia's city attorney to.
Yeah. You guys are gonna be pros at this by the time you get to another expansion project. That's great.
We don't want to be pros at that.
So I can paraphrase the motion that's before us. It is essentially to ask or direct the city of Lacey to arrange for council to review the agreement. And we'll either need to,
Including its own or outside independent.
yeah, I think that's.
Isn't that your sense,
Yeah, I
Ken?
think-
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Do we have to amend the motion?
No, I would
Okay.
accept that as the maker of it.
Right.
Okay.
And then we'll deal with this, of course, but then we'll go back to the
Main motion.
first, the main motion, which hasn't been made yet, but we'll need to make a motion for conditional approval of the agreement with the mandatory language that David, you raised. So we move forward. So let's call for a vote right now on the motion that's before us. All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Unanimous. Okay, that motion is approved. And so now, but I had one other question I wanted to ask. Does anybody else have other questions about the documents before us? Okay, the only other question I had, Deanna, was in section 3 of the first document, which refers to I want to bring it up in front of me so I use the right language here.
This is the resolution.
Continuing, this is the the
Yes,
resolution.
resolution page 3. Section 3.
Section 3, this refers to the board undertaking a continuing disclosure certificate. And what I wanted to clarify is this is something separate and apart from the annual financial statements that we provide? And who does that and how is that paid for? Or is it simply we provide our annual financial statements?
If there's any obligation of the PFD at all, it would be to just provide the financial statements. What we were thinking about doing is putting, if Olympia is comfortable with it, having the information just included in its annual filings. The ongoing disclosure requirements come out of federal securities laws. And they require annual filings of financial information, and so basically your audit, and then notice of the occurrence of certain events. The bulk of those obligations fall on the city of Olympia because they are the bonds will be the city of Olympia's bonds, and the city is pledging its full faith and credit to the repayment of the bonds. Because the PFD, though, is an obligated party for purposes of federal securities laws, because of the stream of that sales tax revenue, there is a need to provide investors or bondholders on an ongoing basis information about revenues of that stream of revenue. If we can accomplish that through the city of Olympia's undertaking and have it taken care of that way, then we certainly will. We wanted to include section 3 kind of as and it says as applicable, and if any, because we were really trying to relieve that obligation from the PFD. Just because we know that you don't have staff, and Lacey handles your fiscal matters, and to the extent that we can, like I said, include the information within Olympia's undertaking, then that will take care of the issue. And I'm getting a double thumbs up from Jay. But we didn't want to omit this section and then realize or have an underwriter say, oh my goodness, where's their separate undertaking, and not have the authorization to sign a document if necessary.
So if we are providing our annual financial report that we approve every year,
Yep.
and under section 3, I as president provide that to you, does that meet our obligation under that section?
That would absolutely meet any obligation that would fall under the section that would satisfy it.
Ken?
I'd like to move for approval of resolution number 25-01. Subject to or contingent upon an approval of the attorney request that we've made, and subject to the correction of section 16 to assure that all board members are covered. I think that's it. Both the resolution and the attached agreement.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other further discussion?
Just say, and direct the president to sign.
Yes, you can add that.
Yeah, it has a question.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to say that with respect to section 16, I have changed the language to read and its respective members of its board of directors, officials, officers, employees.
Excellent.
Okay, then I'll take that portion of my motion out. And it's already done.
Do you have all that, Alyssa? Okay. Any other comments or discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? It's approved. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good to see you, Jay.
You too, Kent. Thanks all.
Thank you very much.
Thanks all. Okay.
Keep moving this forward.
I intend to, if we could move on to agenda item 5B. I think we have some presentations coming up.
Good afternoon. My name is Brett Bovard. I'm with the City of Lacey Public Works, specifically a capital projects engineer. I'm going to be presenting to you about the regional athletic complex next phases. And I'm sure you all know Troy, but I'll let him introduce himself too.
Sure, finance director for the city.
So I just wanted to give you guys a brief update. I'll try and keep it quick so we can get out here close to 2 like we're scheduled for. So at the beginning of this year, we began the process of preliminary designs and just looking at the different scopes that could be possible for improvements to the rack. We hired SCJ Alliance and several of their subs, including ALSC architects, to help us develop a master plan for long-term visions at the site and to help us determine the next best steps to move that vision forward. We asked them to explore concepts for various field configurations on the phase 3 property, which is what we refer to for the west side of Marvin, here highlighted in yellow, as well as conversion of one of the soccer fields to synthetic turf that's currently natural grass, with the addition of lights and bleachers and some other amenities. So that was where we started at the beginning of this year. And then after having gone through about 6 months of planning and being reviewed by staff and the Lacey City Parks Board and City Council, considering the cost implications of making the improvements on the west side, as well as long-term maintenance, operations, and sustainability needs of the rack, City Council asked us to move forward with the conversion of the soccer field from natural grass to synthetic turf, as well as the addition of lights, bleachers, to fulfill the current community user needs as the next best step for the regional athletic complex. This will increase the hours of use for the soccer field for soccer groups, lacrosse, football, rugby, ultimate frisbee, and other groups as appropriate. Due to the synthetic turf being able to be used all year as opposed to the natural grass that has to be given time to rest seasonally, as well as the addition of lights. We'll be able to use it into the evenings later in the winter, as I'm sure you guys are all familiar with.
So both of them would be turf or just the one?
So one is currently turf already.
Okay.
Field 1 is turf.
Okay,
Field 2 is natural grass
Okay.
currently, and that would be converted to turf. Field 1, the proposition is adding bleachers to it to increase the seating capacity, and then additional lighting to be able to light Field 2.
so both of them will be lit and have lights, both of them?
Correct. Field 1 is currently already lit, and so there will be lighting conversion to bring those up to current technological standards, as well as actual lighting on Field 2. Yeah, and if there's any other questions, feel free to interrupt me. I'm just gonna keep going full speed until the end otherwise. Yeah.
I've got
yes,
a
sir.
question on lighting. These would be shaded, these lights are, I see there's a lot of residences that are neighbor. So what precaution would you take to make sure the light is, I'll say downcast, and it's not a lot of uplight to affect the neighborhood?
Trying to prevent light pollution is
Yes,
what you're saying.
yes, again,
Uh,
yes.
So I personally am not the most familiar with all the different lighting technical aspects, but I know that our consultants are, and that is something that we're keeping in mind of trying to make sure that, yeah, we're not shining a spotlight into somebody's bedroom window and lighting up their whole becoming impossible for them to sleep. So yes, that is being considered.
Okay.
Anything else for keep moving?
Is that the entire presentation?
Not quite. There's
Oh, okay.
a few more slides.
Didn't want to lose my opportunity.
Yeah, yes, it is, and goodbye, and I'll see you later. So that was the direction that was given to us. And so to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, this is a little bit more zoomed in view. With the Field 1, which is already in synthetic turf, and we would be turfing Field 2 and adding some lights and potentially bleachers as well, or seating to Field 2 on the kind of berm here between Field 2 and 4. Reseating all around. And that is the majority of what we're moving forward with currently. As with all good master plans, though, we are trying to keep the current proposed improvements in line with what we've sort of cast a vision for the master plan, making sure that we don't put things where later we would have to move them. So really trying to keep that in mind as we're going through this process. We also were instructed to get cost analysis for all of these developments or improvements to be able to explore the opportunity for potential partners and assistance with funding, to see if there is a farther down the list we can get with these improvements. The future potential upgrades include items such as a ticket booth, additional concessions, restrooms, additional seating, and storage. Would only be beneficial for current user groups, but also to help us attract higher level groups as well. That could be increase the regional draw for the RAC and bring a more economic impact for Lacey and Thurston County.
Is that fenced now? I mean, if you had,
So field one is fenced. You can't really see it in this
Okay.
diagram, unfortunately, but there is.
if you're gonna sell tickets, it's all gotta be fenced in.
Exactly, yes, that would be part of it. So that's what this black kind of dotted line here is proposed fencing in the future, if we got to that point in the development. And I believe that's the end of my slide, so I will hand it over to Troy now to talk a little bit about the timeline.
Well, I have one question. Just way back when, there were problems with the west side of Marvin with Mazama gopher issues. Was that all resolved, I presume?
So the really short answer to that question is that was part of the reason, essentially why it makes sense to stick with developing the east side. That along with just the general cost of, developing the west side made it to where it was better use of these funds to go to the existing amenities and improving them as opposed to basically starting from scratch on the west side. So does that answer your question enough?
Oh, so you're saying even though there's a drawing here, you don't really have any plans?
For the west side, correct.
Okay.
We're focusing on the existing.
But is part of that plan mitigation of the gopher issue, or has that gone away?
For current plans, we're not gonna.
I know you're not doing the west side.
Yeah,
But do we
no.
have an issue over there?
We would not be doing anything to mitigate any of the gopher or other.
If we develop the west, we would have to.
Yes, if we did.
That's what I'm asking. So,
Correct.
so one of the considerations was if we went to the west, we'd have additional cost of gopher mitigation? Okay, that's what I'm trying to understand. Yeah.
So if I may, is this board currently funding what the work you're doing to this point? Or are you presenting this for future requests as you move forward in the project?
PFD funds are funding this design, so we're in our 30% design stage right now, so we are using PFD revenues for that.
Okay, thank you. And how much, I don't think the Metropolitan Park District is passing, so how much, if any, does that impact your potential future plans without that board, or are they two separate matters?
They're two separate matters, so all of our plans to this point did not assume any Metropolitan Park District funds.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions before we jump in the timeline?
Yes, well, for the second time, I've had a minor epiphany with the issue that Mr. Parsons has brought up. So, and I just looked, I'm referring to your references to the west side. So I now have the dawning realization that when the title of your presentation is East Side Improvements, so that refers to the east side of Stillicum Road. The west side refers to the west side of Stillicum Road?
Marvin Road, correct.
So Marvin?
It's Marvin.
Yeah, Marvin goes north-south.
Map said Stillicum out, maybe.
Still comes the side road. Marvin's the main road. It's yeah.
You're right, it is Marvin.
Yeah.
Yes, Marvin, I did look at the map. So.
Very cool.
I see now, thank you.
Yeah. And so I guess to kind of clear up, because it sounds like there might be a little bit of confusion. The current direction for that was given from city council was to explore options only for improvements on the east side. And so in the current day, we're not looking at doing anything on the west side for the foreseeable future. If that
Who
makes
owns
sense.
that property there now?
The city of Lacey does.
So I heard when you're retired, you go to a lot of coffee groups. So I heard a rumor at a coffee group that the city of Lacey had issued a request for proposal to study building a stadium, maybe even a minor league baseball stadium. I'm guessing it was intended to suggest west of Marvin Road. Is that correct? And if so, is that project a future PFD eligible project?
I wouldn't call it a stadium, so what you're seeing here on the screen is just a conceptual drawing what that might have looked like. So it was 3 ball fields with a little bit of seating. Again, I wouldn't call it a stadium, but we did go through a process last summer to come up with 3-4 concepts in terms of development of soccer fields as well as these ball fields across Marvin Road. So yes, we did do a high level conceptual design on various options for the city council to consider.
Where does that stand now?
Due to cost considerations, we are only looking at the soccer fields, so the baseball fields you see in this slide here are not currently being pursued.
Okay, so theoretically, if that study had been more conducive, it could have been an east side and a west side project. But you're only going east side.
Correct.
Does that preclude doing something on the west side in the future?
It doesn't, but costs are definitely prohibitive.
Okay,
This was tens and tens of millions of dollars.
for the west side.
So
So the intent was to do both, but because of cost, they shifted and chose doing the enhancements to the east side for those funds to meet what funds they get from. Is that right?
yeah, I think our original intent was to develop this 26 acres. So I think, in the very beginning, I think the concept was additional ball fields. The soccer fields were added just because there's community need for that as well, but in my mind, that was more of a backup plan. And then when we actually got the initial cost estimates,
Yeah.
it was pretty clear that we couldn't afford to do the baseball concept.
So what we see on the left, that's not the way the landscape actually looks now. That's a projection of a possible
So
That's
use.
correct,
Okay.
these ball fields are just screenshot, clip
Okay.
art and
Okay.
plop down. It's actually,
Is
I
that
think it's
largest
just
one?
these 3 fields here cut out and then plopped down over here just solely for cartoon's sake.
Gotcha.
Wasn't, correct me if you're wrong, but wasn't a tunnel under Marvin part of the original plan because of tournament type of things?
Well,
There's 10 million right there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
said, but that we quickly discovered that we had a pedestrian safety issue, so that was not included in any of these conceptual plans, but once you look at it and think about all those pedestrians trying to cross Marvin, that became an issue as well, and that was not included in any of those conceptual costs.
Oh, and then if you were gonna have a tournament, that was the whole thing, having teams going from one side to the other under the road. And
Or over. I mean, over,
Or overpass, yeah, one way.
one or the other, yeah.
Yeah,
There's lots of issues with that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a state highway.
Yes.
There's, there's many reasons why we landed on soccer fields, so.
There's nothing currently afoot for west of Marvin.
No, that's in the future, hopefully, but yeah, nothing, we're not moving towards any sort of design on anything on the west side.
Who did the study?
It was a team collaboration with SCJ Alliance and their subs,
Had a
ALS.
landscape design firm?
Correct. So SCJ has engineering, landscaping,
Okay.
some other aspects, and then ALSC, Syntax, their specific like sports complex architecture is their specialty.
Could you give me those acronyms again? FEG was
SCJ Alliance,
CJ Alliance.
and one of their subs was ALSC Architects.
Isn't that the Skillings group?
Thank you.
SCJ stands for Shea Car Jewel, I believe.
Okay. Where are they?
So they have an office off of Martin Way. I think it's Trenton is the where they're off of. and ALSC is out of Spokane.
Thank you.
Well, wish we had more money.
Yeah. Need more ball fields.
So this is our long-term timeline. You know, we heard our friends from Olympia say they were 2 years into their project. We're about 6 to 9 months into ours. We're about a year and a half behind. I'm not gonna go through every step here, but we are in 30% design as we speak. We anticipate we'll be having our debt discussion. Lace will have its debt discussion beginning 2027. Our plan is to have those debt proceeds in hand in time to begin construction this summer of 2027. So we're a good year and a half out before we start having all these conversations, and all the knowledge we gain from Olympia will certainly apply going forward. So sometime in 2027, we'll start to have these summer discussions for the Lacey debt.
Pursuant to the previous item, you should probably put a new line, PFD legal review, above bond closing on your timeline.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we could do a swap with Olympia. Our bond counsel could act on your behalf on this one, and Deanna Greger could act as your bond counsel on ours. That way, we'll kind of spread the work around. But yep, definitely we've learned a lot through the Olympia process.
Troy, we talked a little bit about this earlier. Is this a refinance or are you gonna go, or maybe you don't know at this point, but is
This
this
will be a new
so
issue.
you have to do the feasibility review?
I have questions about that. We're going to obviously prepare in case we do, but I thought I heard that Olympia's feasibility review is all we need, but we're definitely gonna make sure that if we do have to have another one, we are in front of that, because that's as you know, a 3 to 4 month process, so.
Yes.
So we will be prepared.
Thank you. Any other questions for
Thank you for the
Lacey
update.
reps? Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I'll just, speaking of financial feasibility review, which the board approved, at our last special meeting, that is underway. We had a kickoff meeting a couple weeks ago. And we met the contractor who's doing it, a guy named Morgan Shook. We have once every 2 weeks touch base meeting. The next one is Wednesday, and attending that, and the City of Olympia folks are there. Morgan has asked a few follow-up questions. It all seems to be going very well, so the process is moving along. And in closing, I just want to thank the City of Lacey, Troy, and Alyssa especially. I've been making a lot of phone calls over the past couple weeks to get ready for this meeting. They've been very helpful, and my fellow officer Ken, he's also fielded a lot of calls, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all you being here. We had a good meeting today. Jeff, it's nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Welcome aboard.
Looking forward to when we can meet in person. And as you said, on board, I think I have 150 more questions that won't be served today, but looking forward to the day I can pick your brains.
Good. Well, we're definitely putting in motion a way to have an orientation session at our next annual meeting. All right, if there's nothing else to come before the board, I will say we are adjourned at 2:13 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Nice job, Ken.
Thanks.
Thank you, David. Chris, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, yeah.